I had hormone injections, 2 hormone injections, in fact 3 months apart, and the symptoms were mild. A few sweats, a bit of a flush, decreased zest, but I still continued to train or exercise.
3 years down the track, on my 60th birthday, my PSA started to rise again, and went in for another bone scan, and it's now metastasised as bone cancer. The suggestion is that the radiation will be far more effective if you have an androgen deprivation therapy to supplement it. So I resisted that for quite some time, and then I succumbed to having Zoladex implants. And then you get a whole new set of systems with androgen deprivation therapy. Hot flushes, so I'm like a female going through menopause. Intense, 20 times a day. Very sensitive nipples.
The other thing that really struck me though was the sudden loss of muscle strength. 3 months after I started on the treatment, my wife and I were over in Western Australia, and we went to Rottnest Island, where you go around on a bicycle. Now, I've always been much fitter than my wife, physically, but whenever we're going up the slightest of incline, within 50 metres or so, I just couldn't cope. I just had to get off and walk, and she'd meanwhile be pedalling off into the blue, and I have to call out, "Stop, please, wait for me." Whereas it used to be the other way round. And I'm still finding, well, going upstairs is much more difficult. I'm a bushwalker. I used to like the challenge of going up hills. These days, my legs are not as good at that, and I've lost muscle strength generally.
And the other side effect which one doesn't feel is the thinning of the bones, which can cause osteoporosis. So if someone's already, as I've already have osteoporosis, that was a big concern for me. In fact, that was a major concern for me, and in fact that made my doctor delay the hormone treatment for, I think, about 6 months, until the PSA went up quite considerably.
Hormone therapy is a very important part in the management of prostate cancer. Hormone therapy means the chemical removal of testosterone from our circulation, and that can be done with injections, tablets, or surgery. If you remove testosterone, what that does to us as men is it drops our sex drive, it can make us a little bit tired, and it can even give us some hot flushes. It's very important to realise that these minor side effects are only a small price to pay for controlling advanced disease, which can cause major problems to your whole life. So for men with advanced cancer, just remember that 90% of people tolerate hormone therapy remarkably well, and say they're much better off having the hormone therapy than when they were before they had their hormone therapy. That's not to say that 10% of men do suffer with that treatment, but if you're aware of the side effects of hormone therapy and you address them quickly, they can be completely and utterly treated and averted.
There is very much a tendency now to use these hormone injections in an intermittent fashion. In other words, if a man, for example, presents with a PSA of 200 and a bone scan that shows he's got prostate cancer in the bones, what we may do is give him 2 injections, 2 to 3 over a 6 to 9 month period, drive the cancer into remission, and it may well be that the PSA will drop to virtually 0. And then what we'll do is stop the hormone therapy, monitor the PSA every 3 or 6 months, and reinstitute the hormone therapy when the PSA increases back to a level of 15 or 20, or if the PSA doubling time is 3 months or less, that would be a further indication for reintroducing treatment. The intermittent hormone therapy protocol is becoming very popular worldwide. It does not seem to compromise the duration of hormone control, and yet it may well limit the side effects of continuous hormone deprivation in these men.
It's not a treatment without significant side effects, and therefore it is to be used judiciously, and that's why the concept of intermittent hormone therapy, where we have time off treatment and those side effects can be ameliorated, the weight loss can occur, the anemia can remit, and sexual function then can be regained, so there's a better quality of life off hormone therapy when it's used in an intermittent fashion.
I've been put on this intermittent hormone therapy. I've had 2 lots of injections, which were 3 monthly, and the PSA level has gone down to a very low level. And the doctor has now stopped the treatment. And I won't go back on the hormone therapy until the level has risen to a defined value.
Hormone therapy is also used to prepare men for radiotherapy, whether it be for external beam radiotherapy or brachytherapy.
We give hormone treatment along with external beam radiotherapy and sometimes HDR to achieve higher cure rates than we can achieve with just radiation alone. And there have now been a series of the gold standard randomized comparative controlled trials which have shown that if you take men who have prostate cancer, particularly those men with locally advanced prostate cancer, and you give them a combination of external beam treatment and the hormones, then the cure rates are higher. If you have a seed implant, then there's a restriction on the size of gland that we can implant. So typically, if a man has a gland which is larger than 60 cc in size, then it would be very difficult to implant. Now, just to give you a feel for this, most men, particularly young men, have prostate glands which are smaller than 20 cc in size. But as they get older, larger and larger proportions of men have enlarged prostates, and sometimes they get sufficiently large that it's difficult for us, technically speaking, to do the implant. Well, luckily, hormone treatments will shrink down the size of the prostate, so we can use these hormone treatments temporarily to shrivel up the prostate, get the prostate down to a size which is easy for us to implant, and then we can get on with the implant. So these men would typically have the hormone treatment for about 3 months, would shrink down the prostate, and then do a seed implant. The most obvious initial side effect of hormone treatment is hot flushes. So men get hot flushes like their wives might have had hot flushes during the menopause. Another side effect of hormone treatment is loss of libido and loss of sexual ability. So men will find that they aren't interested in having sex, and in fact that's probably not such a bad thing because they can't get erections, and that can be very distressing for some men and their partners. Another side effect of hormone treatment is, and some men really like this, is it encourages the regrowth of hair on their head. So in men who are becoming just slightly bald or initially going bald, having hormone treatment can make that hair grow back. So that's sometimes a bonus of prostate cancer treatment.
So for men with advanced cancer, just remember that 90% of people tolerate hormone therapy remarkably well and say they're much better off having the hormone therapy than when they were before they had their hormone therapy. That's not to say that 10% of men do suffer with that treatment, but if you're aware of the side effects of hormone therapy and you address them quickly, they can be completely and utterly treated and averted.
The hormone treatment tends to hold things for typically 3 to 5 years. In my case, it went down, stayed at its lower level for about 3 or 4 months, and started coming up very fast. And at that stage, if we just extended the graph, I would expect to live 15 months or so. And in fact, they put me on another level of hormone treatment, what they call hormone blocking with tablets, and that slowed it down substantially, so that gave me an extra lease of life. And now I've been put on a trial by my oncologist, which aims to minimise, delay, defer bone damage by any secondaries that develop. And so really, while if we just extend the graph of my blood test, I would think I might have 2.5 years. In fact, because of the amount of research that's coming to fruition in the area, really the sky's the limit, so to speak. But I expect that I have something one day.
Hormone therapy is not intended as a curative treatment for prostate cancer. It is a means of sending the cancer into remission, and it is a very good way of prolonging life and lifestyle in men with metastatic or advanced prostate cancer.